Hey guys, so this is a two-piece set I'm working on. I have a vision in my head. So what I did was I took two 8x10 canvases and I painted them black. Then I added a coat of resin. And then I added one more coat of clear resin on top of it so that it has some real definition. And I did that on both of these. And then I have my two decals. So when you hang the pieces, they will be meant to be together, but not. They can even be done unlevel. But the point of these pieces is to show what pride will do to a relationship or to your heart or to love. They're each sitting in their own areas, wanting to be with the other one, sad, depressed, dealing with the emotions, but pride won't let them go to each other and apologize and make it work. I've got a few names in mind for this piece, but I haven't quite decided on the name, so we're going to deal with that later. So we're going to start by applying the decals. I've already wiped these off with a wet one, so I'm not going to touch the tops again. And I cut down around them some because the backing, the tracing backing, is super sticky, and it leaves a residue on the resin that you then have to wipe and clean off once you peel it. So it was just easier to cut around it as much as possible. I just want to try to line up. Nope, come on. As best I can, so that this wall is, even if it sticks over, I need the wall to be on the edge. And because it's on resin, you don't really have to use the cards or whatnot to push it down. You can, but it's not really needed on resin. I've made sure I push this over the edge just a little. That way it actually appears that she is actually sitting down. Okay. I dipped my hand in some paint over here accidentally. Okay, so I'm just gonna double check that, and then there's a spot right here where it wasn't quite on the tracing paper straight. So it went over. And I do want to pull that straight. I think it was just not cut straight maybe. But this was off of a really difficult Google image, so I know it was hard for her to make it exactly how I wanted it. And it's as close to the edge as possible, but there's still a little bit of the edge left, plus the sides. So after I do my pour on this one and then I peel this up, then I'll paint this edge so that it matches the wall. Okay, so before I go on, I'm going to go ahead and wipe this one off. Just again, it's just best to go ahead and Make sure you get any of that sticky residue. If anything doesn't come off and it's like really sticky, you can take a spritz of rubbing alcohol and put on, and it pulls stuff off really well. Like there's a sticky spot I just ran over, so I'm just gonna, you can spray it right on the piece or you can spray it on here. Make sure we get that stickiness off. Okay, we're going to push that back. I'm going to go ahead and apply the decal to this piece. After I fix my shirt. And I do have paint all over my hands, so I'm being very careful with everything. Okay, so he just needs to be along the bottom edge. And then flat as he goes, make sure there's no bubbles. Okay. So this is a concept that's been in my head for a while, but I wanted to find the right way to do it. And a huge point is for them to be the darker. With a lot of my other vinyl pieces that I've done, I've made the painting the pretty part. I mean, I've made the actual vinyl decal the pretty part, and then the pour has been covered up mostly with the black, so this part would have been the pretty part and this would have been black. But I want their actual bodies to be black, so that it shows that they're like in a state of despair and depression. And then we're going to add the colors around, and it's not going to be really bright colors. It's going to be reds, pinks, coppers, and maybe a little bit of white to add some contrast. And that will help convey that it's an emotional turmoil. And then red is also a color that's been used for pride and lust. And so yeah, it's just going to kind of help convey my mint theme some more. And hopefully it comes through to people that don't see this when they see these pieces. Hopefully they kind of get the gist of what I'm trying to show. That's my goal anyway. But everybody's going to see a piece and see something different in it. So now I'm going to set him aside. And I'm going to lift this table up because I can't pour on it or I'll get paint everywhere. It's just a base. Okay. And then we're going to move these closer. I've got to clean this plastic up very soon after another pour. Probably after I finish these two pours. I need to clean this plastic off. Because I had some skins I thought I was going to use and then they didn't dry right, so we're not using them. Okay, make sure they're pretty level everywhere. I wiped some paint off my hand. I just dipped it in because I don't want any cross-contamination. Okay, and the colors that I have pre-mixed for these pieces are Artist Loft Academic Level 1 in Antique Copper, Folk Art Rose Gold Metallic, Artist Loft Academic Level 1 Metallic Red. Titanium White from Arteza. Then I have the Color Shift Red Flash, which goes from red to aqua, and the Color Shift Pink Flash, which goes from pink to purple. Because I kind of wanted a little bit of that bluey purple tint to it. Not much, but just enough for that sorrow and pain to kind of come through with the other colors. So I'm going to grab a cup and we're going to lay the colors in it. I'm going to do that over here. Can you see this cup? Yeah. I don't want to start with white. I want to start with the Artist Loft Red. So these are pretty much all metallics except for the white. And then I'm going to go from red to a little white. Rose gold. A little white. Pink flash. Some more white. Copper. More white. And the red flash. I'm going to add just a little bit more white. And some more of the red metallics that we put in first. And then I'm going to set these to the side because we're going to use these same colors for the male piece as well. We're going to do a traveling tree ring on this piece. And I want to kind of come from her out. Okay. It will also travel faster on the resin. It just helps it to travel because it's a slicker surface. Okay. Trying to only hold it in the corners. I'm going to tilt it. Actually, I'm going to put a little paint over here. And then tilt it this way. Okay. I'm going to set it back down for a moment. We're going to do another tree ring up here where I need more paint. I may actually have more white than I wanted. And I'm going to do a tree ring right through here because I want to add some more color. We'll tilt it back this way also. Add color to the bottom edge just so that it'll pull over it when I tilt. I'm going to tilt that to let it meet. I'm going to try to turn it this way so you guys can see. But I'm going to tilt it down here so that we cover this. Yeah, I think there's definitely more white than I was hoping for. Okay, I'm just going to touch up the edges. And just a few places that need a little extra paint. It's actually much brighter than I wanted. I probably shouldn't have put as much white. I didn't want to use black though because their bodies were black. So, interestingly enough, it's much brighter than I was expecting, but it's really pretty. And if it dries and conveys what I need it to convey, then I'll leave it. We'll see. This part's pretty dark, but this part's kind of very light for me. But yeah, so with her piece, we went from her out, and with his piece, we're going to go from him out. That way it doesn't look like it's going toward each other. You want it to go away from each other, because they're projecting their thoughts and their emotions. But instead of projecting them to the other person and trying to work it out, they're just sitting there projecting them into nothingness. So that's the goal. So I'm going to actually move this one out of the way and let it dry. Just a second. Oops. Okay. Oh. Okie dokie. So very carefully, I'm going to pick her up and sit her down. I'm going to very carefully bring him up and very carefully wipe my hands off again. And I have to wipe his corner off because I got a fingerprint. And we don't want that. Okay. So then we have him. Same cup. I'm not going to put quite as much white. Let's see if it does anything. Same order, we're going to use that bright red. Then less white. Just enough to put a coat between it. Rose gold. A small bit of white. Red color shift. I actually think I put the copper next, but yeah, it's close enough. Small drop of white. Antique copper. Small drop of white. Pink color shift. A little bit of white. The red, and I just want to sit the red here for a minute and let the rest of it pour off, because that's the darker of the colors. I'm just going to add a little bit of the copper to the top also because it's darker. And then I'm just going to slide these over. Okay. And we're going to do the same thing here. Go from him out into a traveling tree ring. I don't need that much in this area because his body covers it. It looks much darker with less white. Probably should have used like blacks and stuff, but since he was black, I didn't want to use, since I'm going to do him and her in the black, I didn't want to use like a lot of black. I'm just putting this here. It's not going to stay this color. It's just to help it flow on the corners. It's going to help it flow. Okay. Yeah, this one was much darker with less white. It conveyed a little bit more of kind of what I was going for. Tilt it this way for just a minute to try to help that over. And then I've got this small section of this bottom corner that needs covered. I might run my hand along here, put it there to help it flow. Run my hand along here. Fix these corners with the paint. Okay, and that doesn't really have to be covered because that's part of the decal, so it's not that big of an issue. The main focal parts of it is I need them to be dark. I needed reds, pinks, colors for love, passion, pride, heartbreak, pain. And then I needed the pieces going away from each other. I think it kind of worked. We'll see what they look like when they dry and I can peel off the decals. And then we'll kind of go from there. If it's not dark enough for me, I might add something to it. I might take some markers and darken it up, some paint markers, and darken it up or something. But for now, this is what we've got. So there's piece 1 and 2. And we're going to let them dry for a few days and we'll come back and pull off the decals. So let me know what you think. Do you think these are going to be dark enough, or I'm going to need to change something, or just any suggestions, or just your opinion in the comments below. And I can't wait to see what you guys think.